So let's continue and add some more details to this. And what I'd like to do is I want to add a bevel to the entire geometry, and only affect the corners and basically anything that is not flat. So let's add a poly bevel. And I'm going to add it before the boolean. This way it's going to be easier to process. And actually it's here. And I'm going to turn on ignore flat and tweak that value until I get only the interesting parts. So something like that. Cool. Everything seems to be working. I think this is good. And I'm gonna add some bevel, so let's try 0.1, 0.2. Let's change this to flat shaded because we're gonna be able to fix the normals later without any issues. I'm gonna increase this to 4 and change it to round. So we get some nice rounding. Cool, let's run the boolean. It should still work nicely. And what I want to do is I want to add another pattern like this, but something bigger and in front of it, just to emphasize the silhouette a bit more. And I'm gonna redo the same thing here like we did with the ray node. So I'm going to add a transform. Let me think. Actually here. This is good. Yeah, let's do it here. And I want to center the pivot, so I'm going to type in $CX, $CY, $CZ, and that will center the pivot based on the object local space. Okay, and I'm going to move this out a bit, and let's ray it on the geometry. And basically I want to move it away. And let's template the geometry so we see it. And let's also let's template the boolean version. I don't know if that's a correct word. Something like that. Cool. And I'm gonna select the last point and move it up. And here is fine. So let's move this point. I want to have something that extends so we don't get some collision issues or anything like that. And I'm going to simply select these points and press the T key and move them up. I'm gonna also rotate them. I don't need all of them, but I'll keep it for now. And let's copy the same setup here. So fuse the point, poly wire. Cool. And I want to make it thicker. Actually, I don't want it to overlap with this, so let's move the curve a bit more. And we can do another soft transform on top. So here, this is good. Maybe we can just move the curve. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and I think that's fine. And then this is good. Fuse it, polywire, and I want to make this this guy thicker. Something like that. Okay, and let's do the clipping there. And I'm going to edit the curve. I want to move it so we have better intersection here. So I'm going to simply select the last 2 points and move them to the side. Now with the boolean, cool. And let's do a sorry, with the mirror, and let's do a boolean again with this. Let's invert that. Shift R to swap the connection, and now we have a second boolean happening. You can see here it's not working pretty well, but I was hoping to get everything following perfectly along the mesh. You can see it here as well, and I'm not gonna worry too much about this. I think you guys got the idea. I was just hoping to get some design following this this pattern as well, but something thicker. Okay, let's move on to add some more stuff. I want to extrude this and give it some more thickness to add more room at the top. So I want to add this this part here, and I'm going to use a group node, and let's see if we can select the top part using the normals. Maybe we cannot do that, but let's always give it a try. Okay, so we have some stuff here. Cool, so that angle gives us the geometry that we need, and I'm going to simply transform that. I don't need to extrude it because I see a bevel there, and I think we're good. We can extrude this. Maybe let's add nope, we cannot add that. Yeah, so let's extrude this. I made sure to set it to 1 so it only selects this guy, and let's extrude that up. Okay. Check one thing. Cool. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna move it up. Sorry, I was checking a few things, and it looks like we selected some polygons that we didn't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna turn this off, turn on base group, and simply select them. Select the ones I need. Shift click obviously to select them, and now we have that group. So we don't have to worry about anything else. Cool. The next part, I'd like to add a design here, a circular pattern. So I'm going to create a tube. I'm going to copy something that I already have. So something like that. Probably going to have to move it so it doesn't intersect. And I want to create a design basically here. Add a circular corner to this. I'm just using a variety of extra geometry on top to make this look more interesting and have more depth to it. That's the whole purpose why I'm doing this. So I'm going to use boolean with this guy, with this tube, and I'm going to change it to shatter instead. Okay, you can see it's clipping everything there, but I don't want I want both of them. Actually no, sorry. Let's see, piece A, yeah, it's behaving differently, so let me fuse here. Let me add a fuse, make sure the geometry is everything is fused. That's very important. And it looks like it's not working in this case. I just need to slice the geometry using this the second input geometry. Let's see, custom seems didn't work. Yeah, so it has some manifolds geometry. Let's see if we can clean this up. There is a clean geometry, a clean node that can help us fix this. So let's see if that gets rid of the issue. No, it does not. So what I'm going to do, you see it's giving me those errors. You can see the issue there. And I'm going to do this this slicing part before we do the boolean, because the mesh is getting a bit funky at that level. So I'm gonna go all the way up. And this is our geometry. So let's slice it. Cool, so see it's working now. That's what I'm interested in. Okay, and we can select the group by hand, but we can also 1 second, check something. We can also add take these on, and that will select parts of the intersection. But I have a different workflow that I'm going to show you how I can select this easily. So let's update the boolean here and see if it's working. Cool. It's also working with the bevel, so I'm going to leave that. Cool. Actually, I really like this. Yeah, just this part. You know what? I'm going to turn this off, the second design here. I think it's creating a lot of issues, and then later on I'll import the curve that I liked and use that instead. So now I want to select these faces only, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the original geometry here. After the result, I'm going to use a group node and connect the second geometry, and under the primitive type I'm going to change it to points, and I'm going to use keep in bounding box region, and it has another feature called bounding object points only. And if we do that, you can see it's going to use the volume of the second input and tries to group the points in there. But I don't want to use the same exact geometry. We need to change it a bit so it encompasses everything. I'm going to use a peak for that, and what a peak does basically pushes the geometry along its normal. And now we just added a little bit of padding there. See it there. And now if we take a look at the group, it's grouping all the points. Cool. And all I have to do is convert this group into primitives, and so I'm going to use a group promote because I need them as faces. I'm going to call this what's corner PTS. I'm going to promote this from points to primitives, and I'm going to take on include only elements entirely contained in original group. And you can see now we converted that selection, and for the we can keep the original, but we don't have to. I'm not going to need it. And then let's proceed all the way here, maybe before the bevel, do an extrude to add the detail I wanted. So here I want to extrude the corner, just add a little bit of offset, maybe some inset. Something like that, just to add some beveling around that. Cool. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, this guy is fine. So that's another detail that we added. And we're gonna continue working on this, and so far we've done all these additions. Looks like we have something here. Let's yeah, so because the input geometry changed, the selection does not work anymore, so we have to go back and fix the part that we want to extrude. And I'm going to select these guys instead. So click here and then update the selection and hit enter, and then we should be able to get the extrusion going. We can also flatten it so that everything is at the same level, and then we have to move them back up. Cool. There's some issues there, but I'm not gonna worry for now. I'll do a little bit of cleaning and come back. Actually, don't have to, can do it now. It was, the selection didn't update correctly, so I'm gonna do it now. Okay. Yep. Let's turn off the templating, and so far from a box we have this using quite a bit of nodes, but I think we have control over everything. Nothing is locked. We can go back and change everything whenever we need to. So in the next video we're going to continue working on this. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.